Hey Bottoms, welcome to episode 64 of the Bottoms Up podcast. I'm your host Taylor, and yes, I am still recovering from COVID that I got during Miami Beach Pride. So yeah, this episode is like my annual check-in of like my relationship to femininity and my identity, and just kind of talking about what's been on my mind in relation to that. I did For some reason, I started crying at the end of this episode. I'm honestly not really sure why. Not even crying. I was just like tearing up. I'm not even sure why, but like when I start crying, I let it happen for myself because with my medication, I really don't cry that much, as you all know. So when it happens, it's like, oh my goodness. It's like when it rains in Los Angeles. I have to give myself the space to like let it happen. But like I'm fine. Like I'm again not really sure what was really triggering that for me. But I'm good, and I didn't continue crying afterwards. So, anyways, whatever. Feelings are weird. So this week is Wilton Women's Week. I believe it already started on Sunday, the day before this episode is going to come out. So you'll absolutely see me out and about. I'm also getting another tattoo this week. And I also have some things in the works right now with a new local venue. So really exciting things coming in the pipeline. Just stay tuned. I can't wait to like really be able to show you guys everything. But yeah, let's get into this episode and we can talk details another time. Oh, hey bottoms. Don't look at my feet. Don't. It's late. I actually just got home from a movie screening, or sorry, a film screening with Queer POC Miami. Lovely time. And I figured, I've been putting off recording this episode since Saturday, so might as well jump into it. Don't want to waste the outfit. I look good. I look really good today, actually. I really like how I look today. So yeah, I was like, might as well sit down, check one more thing off the list for tonight. It is 9:45 p.m. and I definitely like want to go to bed. I'm also my voice is still raspy from COVID and so I'm definitely not at my best, but this is an episode that I have and a topic that I have like thought about a lot in like honestly like the last like couple of months, I would say. If you've been here for the last 2 seasons, you'll know that both seasons I've done kind of like an episode where I talk very broadly about my relationship with femininity, and kind of like check the boxes and be like, okay, what are my labels still? Are they the same? Has anything changed? And I kind of talk about like what's on my mind like recently, just about specifically kind of like relating to like the feminine side of my identity. So that's what this is. There's going to be kind of like 3 parts to this episode. The first part is just going to kind of be, again, like the overarching, like my relationship with femininity, and my femininity. Second part is going to be 75 hard, because if you follow me on Instagram, which you should be following me on Instagram. You'll know that I completed 75 hard at the beginning of this year. I need to slow down when I talk. I know we're at season 3, but I need to slow down when I talk. So I'm going to try really hard to slow down and be easier to understand. My mom has told me ever since I was a kid that I just mumble my words. So I'm going to, what's the word? It's not enunciate. I'm going to try to enunciate better. It's funny because the word enunciate, you really have to enunciate it. So yes, I will try better. I will talk about some 75 hard, part of this as well. And then the other part will be talking about shame, because my word for 2026 is shame, which I know I owe you a video of me talking about it. So clip whatever you want from this podcast episode because that's all I can offer you at this point. But yeah, and before we get into it, I'll do my horoscope. Even though it's like super late, I think I actually might have already read my horoscope today, like just for myself. Because it's Tuesday. I was supposed to record this on Saturday. And then I was like, well, I have other things to do. I'll record it on Sunday. And then Sunday came and went and I didn't record. And then I was like, well, we'll see. But I had the energy kind of, or not, no, I don't have the energy. I just have the motivation to get this done right now. So I'm going to get it done right now. And then I'll feel good because I checked off something right before bedtime and I was social today. That's really nice. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a good horoscope. There is nothing wrong with you that needs correcting. Stop thinking you need to be fixed. The habits you hate most about yourself, those same quirks made you memorable to others. The flaws you obsess over remain largely invisible to everyone but you. Do happy hour, faux fur, disco ball. Don't bragging rights, self-sabotage, fool's errands. I did technically do happy hour, even though happy hour ended at 7. Can we get a petition? I feel like happy hour should go later because I feel like most people are not getting off work until 6 p.m. these days. Like the 9 to 5 is not actually a 9 to 5 anymore. It's a 9 to 6 and your lunch is not paid for. So if I were president, I would legally require happy hour needs to go at least until 8 p.m. Ideally 9. That's my proposal. That's my pitch. But yeah, this is very topical for today. This is yeah, we're gonna jump into it. So to get the base stuff out of the way, my labels. Am I lesbian? Yeah. Am I a woman? Still feel the same about that I have felt for damn near 10 years now. Am I still femme? High femme? Yes. Am I still a femme for butch? Yes. In general, nothing has changed about my labels from the last, 2 years that I've been doing this. So, or 2, almost 3. Is it almost 3? Oh my goodness, we're going to hit our 3-year anniversary this year. Yeah, anyways, yeah. Last 3 years, my identity has been like pretty solid. I would actually say like it's been pretty solid since undergrad, I would say. Since like 2018, 2019. Yeah, I've been holding like pretty steady with how I feel about myself. And I feel it's weird because like I feel very comfortable in that like this is the identity, like that's me, like that, like this is me. I think like the issue and what I really want to talk about in this episode is like I don't always feel like I'm actually living up to that identity. And so to kind of like let's take us all back. My relationship with femininity has been quite fraught from the beginning. And I do wonder how much of it is kind of just like me trying to better understand myself and trying to find myself, and how much of it is me trying to align with a version of femininity and hyperfemininity that has been modeled to me over the course of my life. So when I was, again, like in undergrad, when I was kind of coming to this realization that like, I want to be femme. Like I don't want to be perceived as masculine at all. I don't want to be perceived as soft butch, as one person called me. I don't want to be perceived as a stud, like just absolutely flat out no. It makes me very uncomfortable and very unsettled. Again, I never want to use like the term dysphoria, like gender dysphoria. I don't think that that's actually accurate. There probably is another word for what I'm feeling, but like it is similar, I will say, where I simply want to be perceived as very hyper feminine, just how I am. Just it's very much like ingrained in me. And so when I was kind of first coming to this realization in 2018, it was like summer of 2018 where I started to like really shift. And I started dating someone at the end of 2018 into 2019. And they were visiting me, and we were going out. We were about to go out like into the city and, just go do gay shit or whatever. Good museums. We're going to go to the art museum. Ooh, faggot. I'm so sorry. I have to stop. So we were going to go to some art museums, and I remember like I'd gotten ready. They were still getting ready. And I honestly think that I just had like too much time to sit with my outfit, because by the time that they were ready and we were like about to like walk out the door, we were exiting my bedroom, and I passed the mirror that I had like with my roommate. It was like a full body mirror. And I just remember seeing myself, and I was just like, fuck no. Like, I was just like, this is not feminine enough. And I like refused to like leave the house until I had changed into something that I felt more comfortable in. And in that moment, my ex did not respond very well to it. They responded by telling me that I'm not femme, which like straight up, I will go to my grave being pissed off about that, because like that person told me that I'm not femme, that I'm trans, and then also that like I can't be a lesbian if I was attracted to them. Never have I had like, and you know what? And it's so funny because those are the three things that I just talked about at the beginning of this episode. Those three labels. My goodness. Oh, we love trauma, don't we? But yeah, that was like such a like a visceral like memory for me. And I can't even say that I haven't still had those moments like to this day. And so I think every time that I like jump into these episodes, it's almost like a double-edged sword, because like I do like to talk about identity. I think it's really important the way that people discuss and describe and define their identities. And it's also just, again, very interesting and very fascinating to me to really break down like the language aspect of that with everybody that I interact with, especially on the podcast. But I think like for me specifically, there are definitely times where I obsess over it, and this is starting to feel like one of those times. I feel like the last two times that I've sat down and like talked about like my relationship to femininity, I think I've talked about like struggling with it a little bit, and like having some moments where I just, again, don't feel like I'm like living up to it or feel like I'm really embodying it, or where I'm like nervous about, again, being perceived as not being feminine. But then it got to a point, and this was over Pride weekend, where again I post on Instagram, where you all should be following me. I can't even come on the podcast and be like, you should be following me on Instagram. My Instagram actually does very well. My numbers on Instagram I'm very happy with. My numbers on YouTube, my numbers on the actual podcast, I'm like, am I a podcaster or an influencer? Like, sometimes I have to question it for myself. But I had posted on my story an outfit that I was wearing, like, just out, like, during Pride. Because we were going to go out to the parade and then, like, watch the parade and then go to brunch. And we were going to the Pandora party after. Excuse me. So I know I had to wear my bathing suit because we weren't going back to the Airbnb. So, oh, God. Oh, God. Wow, just the residuals of Pride. So, I gotten dressed, and I was looking at my outfit, and I just like was not liking it. I was wearing my bathing suit, which was just a black bikini, and then I had on my cargo pants, like my like low-rise cargo pants that like I wear pretty frequently. They're green, have a lot of pockets, very utilitarian. I was like, they're very useful. And I was wearing this crop tank top that I got from this place in Fort Lauderdale, an adult store in Fort Lauderdale, that says, a little kitty cat never hurt anybody. So that was the fit. And my bandana, my black bandana. And I don't know, like I put it in my head, it looked a certain way. And then I put it on and I was just like, like this just isn't, this feels like it's giving a little bit masculine. And so I asked Ebony and she was just like, no, it's not. And then I was like, well, I don't believe you. So I put it on my Instagram story and I just asked people like, okay, like, is this giving mask? And most people were like, no, it's not. I actually had a couple of people who messaged me and they thought that I was trying to give mask. And they were like, oh, like, sorry, like, it's just not, like, that's why Jackie was like, oh, you look like a twink. Like, she said twink at best. Yeah, Knives was just like, sorry, baby, it's not giving mask. It's giving sporty, though. And I was like, oh my God, no, thank you. I don't want to give mask at all. But where I say like the majority of people, I think there was maybe like 3 or 4 people that had voted that like, yes, like it is giving mask. And it's crazy because like, even though like, I think it was maybe like 83 or like 85% of the votes were saying like, no, not giving mask like at all. My brain gets still so stuck on that like 15% of people that maybe felt like it was. And it's like, it was very hard for me to like let that go. And I changed. I took off the tank top so that I was just leaving the bikini top, which like it was a bikini top that like felt like a little more like in that like feminine vibe. So like I felt okay, but I didn't really feel like fantastic, you know, like I still felt like a little bit off. And even the day prior, when we had come down because Ebony and I, we usually just get an Airbnb on the beach and, you know, just stayed on there the whole weekend. And the day that we came down, I forget exactly what I was wearing, but it was just kind of like, I just threw something on because we had to go and I hadn't done my makeup or anything. I had no eyebrows, no lashes, nothing. So I went out like that and we were at the lesbian tent at the Garden of Eve. And when I tell you, I was so uncomfortable with how I looked and how I was being perceived or how I thought that I was being perceived that like I wanted to leave. And I think this past Pride weekend of kind of like having these back-to-back experiences where I feel so unsettled with how people might be looking at me or might be thinking about me or might be interpreting me, that it was stopping me from actually enjoying myself. And that's like where I begin to draw the line. I don't think that there's, again, anything wrong with me simply wanting to look a certain way and wanting to present a certain way. Again, it's what I'm comfortable with. Like, it's not, I wish that I could say like it's just an outfit, but like for me it's not. Like it's genuinely like more serious than that. And I feel like there's people who are probably going to listen to this and they're going to be like, "Oh my goodness, like why do we have to have these labels and why does everything have to be mask and everything has to be femme and blah 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 or STEM or shut the fuck up." Like I'm not even going to sit here and like play nice about it because I swear to God, some of you bitches are daft on purpose. No one is telling you that you have to have these certain labels. No one. It doesn't matter. It literally just comes down to you as an individual. And me as an individual, I want to be femme. I want to be high femme. I want to be perceived as hyper feminine. That's where I feel the most comfortable and that's where I feel genuinely happy. Not just with how other people may perceive me, but even like when I look in the mirror, when I look at myself, that is how I want to present to the world. So, but anyways, again, the limit that I have had to like put with myself is like, it should not impede me from enjoying my life. That's where I feel like it becomes, toxic is like the most basic word, but yes, like that's where it becomes toxic. That's where I think like the mindset becomes a little bit flawed. And that's where I'm currently at. And that's what I've been like sitting with for the past like week and a half since I've just been in my home with COVID. I've had a lot of time to think. I've had a lot of time to like be with myself. So I did. I got to the point where I was like, hey, like, let's stop that. And honestly, like, this is where the idea of like the shame comes in, because especially with where I'm at now, like whenever I fall into these like obsessive thought patterns or rumination, or even just where I'm like beginning to feel like really down on myself, because like, man, this past week I was feeling down on myself. Like I was just really unhappy. Which again, being physically sick for the first time in like 2 or 3 years at this point, that did piss me off. Cause I was like, what? Really? It's been so long. I didn't think that I could get sick anymore. So like that factored into it for sure. And just like the general discomfort and not really being able to like eat much either. Like this Omicron variant or whatever, like that, it hit me. It hit me hard. But I was just feeling like really down and really, really insecure. I just like, it wasn't good. And like all of my insecurities were like hitting me at once, I feel. And like that's like I never have these conversations or like share these thoughts because I'm looking for pity. Like that has never been it. I just think that, well, like on the one hand, it's really nice for me to like work through this like with myself and just kind of like lay it all out there, especially like verbally, is like really helpful for me too. Being able to just like openly talk about these things is like really helpful for me. And then also like I don't want anybody to feel alone in these feelings. Like I don't think that I'm wrong for like having these feelings. I've always said, insecurities are just kind of a fact of life. For me, like jealousy is also like a big one, as well. I compare myself to other people a lot. The biggest one, especially lately, has been if someone that I'm attracted to, whether I've been vocal about that attraction, whether I pursued them or not, if I'm attracted to them and I see them get with somebody else, again, whether it's like serious or not, my like instant reaction to that is to compare myself to whoever the woman is that they have decided to date instead of me, and basically try to figure out like, okay, how do I be more like that girl? And again, as much as I don't like kind of like follow through on those thoughts, like it's very much kind of like an automatic reaction that I have. Like that comparison, my goodness, comparison has been the bane of my existence like ever since I was a kid. Ever since I was a kid. And then I think like too as well, I have a lot of like friends right now, especially who are doing like wonderful things with their platforms, especially like queer platforms as well. And I love to see that. Like it makes me like very happy for them. But then it's also it makes me consider like, okay, well, why hasn't my platform done that? Why hasn't my platform grown and done this and that, and whatever. Like, yeah, I want more views on my episodes. Like I want people to like hear the things that I have to say. Like I've talked about it too. It's like very difficult to like sit there and like distill down very like nuanced and like complex statements that I might have, that somebody else might have on an episode, and turning that into like a 60-second Instagram reel because people's attention spans are so short. But that's a whole other conversation for another day. Long versus short form content is a doozy. But yeah, the shame part of it is I definitely got to a point where I was starting to be upset about being upset. And I've done this with myself before. I'll admit it. Where I'll get in this mindset where I feel like I'm so healed, I'm so happy, my life is so good. Why do I still feel bad about things? Why do I still experience like anything that could be considered a negative emotion? And I do have to stop myself, because like that's a form of like shaming that just doesn't make any fucking sense, first of all. Like when we think about healing, I know I've talked about this in a conversation with T before on an episode. When we think about healing, it is not this linear process. I say as I am very non-linearly healing from an upper respiratory infection. But healing is not a linear process. And on top of that, it's not a process that ever really truly ends. It's something that you are continually doing as you learn more about yourself and as you have more experiences as well. So, as much as I like say these things like other people, like I'm so bad about like repeating it to myself and then also believing it. I'm the worst at taking my own advice, have also always been the worst at taking my own advice. I can look at other people's situations like very objectively and very like straightforward, and I'm just like, this is how it is and this is how it isn't. And then when I look at my own, I'm like, oh no, you're actually the dumbest bitch alive. I hope you realize that. You're the dumbest and ugliest bitch alive. And also you're like super chopped. And why did you ever think that that was going to work out for you? You stupid bitch. And that's just not the way that we should be talking to ourselves, you know? Like let's workshop it a little bit, you know? And so like, especially this year when I'm thinking about the word shame, there's like two parts to it where like there are certain aspects of myself and there are certain habits that I want to change and be better at. I think especially now, just with like the changes at work and job stress, and it's like, it's not just like workload, it's like, it's an emotional load. It doesn't have to do with like the actual like physical, like tangible amount of work that I have to do. That's very manageable. That's nothing. It's a lot of like the emotional work of like, going back and forth with clients, but learning how to like manage that, like learning how to like change that habit, learning how to, again, just be more consistent in the gym so that I can actually like, you know, make progress, drinking enough water, setting goals and then hitting them, like like I want to like be able to like use a little bit of like shame and a little bit of like, ugh, so that I shame myself into doing better, like in certain aspects, you know? But then on the other side, I don't want to use shame just as like a way to devalue myself. Like I want to use shame as a motivator. And when I'm sitting here, you know, talking down on myself for like maybe having a little bit of a sad woe is me moment, like, girl, it's just so unnecessary. It is just so beyond like unnecessary. And I think especially when it's like nothing really in particular happened. I just had two outfits I didn't like and then I spiraled. Like that's really, if you really want to look at it, like that's what happened. And so yeah, like just learning to work through that and like try to figure out like how to use shame in a productive way and not in a harmful way. Like that's really been like a big thing for me. And I think like that in and of itself, like the shame aspect isn't something that, you know, overall affects like, again, like my relationship, like with femininity, but it kind of works into, again, like this overall mindset that I have, with the way that I show up for myself, and the way that I give myself, feedback as well. And then the third part within kind of like shame, as I was saying, the habits aspect of it, that definitely tied into 75 Hard and what I was able to accomplish during 75 Hard. That's also something I honestly have lots of mixed feelings about 75 Hard and similar like fitness challenges or like lifestyle challenges. I would say generally I'm a pretty, you know, fairly healthy person. I do my best to fuel my body appropriately. I'm very physically active. I do a lot of like really fun things, for myself. I love weightlifting. I love running. I just did the half marathon. I'm doing another one in October. You know, I do my best. I do my best to take care of myself physically because I know it affects how I feel about myself mentally. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means, but I'm saying that I do try. So 75 Hard, if you're not familiar with 75 Hard, it is basically where for 75 days, you work out, you do 2 workouts per day, 45 minutes each. One of those workouts has to be outdoors. You pick one diet and stick to it. I did a pescatarian diet because I was trying it out to see if it was something that would work for me. And it did, actually. You read 10 pages per day. They say I have a self-help book. I was doing, well, actually, it was technically a self-help book. I was doing my studying for my AREs, my architecture exams. And you drink a gallon of water every day, and then you don't drink any alcohol. That's like the 5 things you do for 75 days. And if you miss a day, you start over. So Ebony did it last year. And like while she was doing it, like I would like meet up with her for some of the workouts. And so like that was a big like part of our friendship, like deepening, because we would go work out and then we would go to Applebee's afterwards. And so I was like, oh, I guess I'll do 75 hard this year. Like, let's do it. Terrible fucking idea. I would genuinely not recommend it to anybody. I also am someone who, grew up during the early 2000s, the heroin chic era, of some of the most toxic diet culture bullshit. Like, it's crazy because I almost feel like, oh my God, is it worse now? Like, honestly, is it worse? Actually, no, I think it's worse now because like people are just openly spreading health misinformation. But I would argue that 75 hard is somewhat of a product of that diet culture, heroin chic era, where it is not meant to be a sustainable lifestyle. When it comes to losing weight, getting in shape, and recomping your body, the best diet is one that you can stick to and maintain. The best diet is one that is not just healthy, but also sustainable. 75 hard as a practice is not sustainable. That's why it's only 75 days, and that's why it's called 75 hard, not 75 lemon pepper, mild, medium, easy. It is, if anything, like kind of meant to throw you off kilter, and like genuinely like really challenge you. And it did really challenge me. Mentally, there was a lot of shame that went into like me continuing with 75 hard. Not just like there was like the shame of like failing it and like wanting to just be like, no, I gotta do it. I have to hit, I have to win. I have to finish it. But then also the shame every day of feeling like I wasn't getting better, like during the days. Like you would think, I don't know, like you would think that, you're doing this for 75 days, 2.5 months, and you have these 5 things that you just have to like check off every single day. And like if I like got to like 11 o'clock at night and I still had like, 40 ounces of water to drink, my God, the shame was crazy. Or if I felt like I was reading like really late, like in the night, like it was crazy. It really does push you to your limits. There were multiple points where I actually considered just stopping it entirely, because what I noticed was the amount of like strain that I was putting my body under was causing my migraines to be really, really intense. I had 3 periods over the course of the challenge, because literally the first week that I started on my period. Like, come on now. So I had 3 over that course. And I thought, because my periods have always been like a little I was on birth control for a little while, which made a huge difference, but it's been like 5 years since I was on birth control, so it's starting to kind of get back to being an inconvenience. And I thought, okay, maybe if I'm doing this like, more stringent lifestyle where I'm really active and I'm eating a specific diet, maybe that'll make my periods better. I was like, maybe if I'm drinking more water, it'll make my periods better. Y'all, it did not. It actually made that shit so much worse. The migraines were just horrendous. And like the first period was okay because it was within the first week of me starting the challenge. So I'm still like, pretty chilled out, residual from just like my regular like day-to-day lifestyle. The second one came and the migraines just like never really went away. It was just like constant. And there were multiple points where I was like, hey, should I just stop this? Because it doesn't feel like it's actually good for my body. It definitely was not in my experience and the way that I was dealing with it. So I opted not to, but like the only reason I didn't stop it is because of shame, because I didn't want to be seen as a quitter for stopping 75 hard because it got hard. But then on the other hand, like I can truly see where it gets to a point where it gets to a point. And I was at that point. I was beyond that point. There's no reason for me to be getting migraines like every other day, just for the sake of like doing some silly health challenge or whatever. Weirdly enough, though, I felt so good about my body when I was doing 75 hard. And I honestly think a little bit of it was just pure delusion. Like, I do also have a history of disordered eating, which I guess, trigger warning in general, just skip this part if you're not wanting to hear about it. I do have a history of disordered eating. It was really prominent, actually. It kind of started in college. Like my sophomore year is where I think it like really became an issue, where I was actively restricting the amount of calories that I was having in a day, because I gained like, I don't know, like 10 pounds my freshman year, and then another 10 pounds my sophomore year. And like part of that was literally just me like going to the gym and like, just fucking spamming on weights. Like I was very active like those first 2 years. And then also part of it was, hey, you're not 17 anymore. You're growing up. You're maturing. You're getting a woman's body. So that's kind of like where it began to like really manifest. And then it kind of became like an even bigger issue again, like senior year. And for me, like restricting my food, it truly became like a method of punishment where like I would feel so like if I did something wrong, I would restrict myself by like not eating, or I would punish myself by not eating. And like I loved the feeling of going for like a long run in the morning on like an empty stomach. That always like that's when I felt like my skinniest, to be quite real with y'all. I've mostly like moved on from that now, but like there is a level of delirium that simply comes with just being malnourished. There is a level of delirium that comes with like being starved and iron deficient. And I honestly think that just the sheer volume of physical activity that I had during 75 hard compared with the amount of food that I can just physically eat in a day, or even just like afford to buy myself, the amount of sustenance that I can put down. I do feel like there was probably a little bit of a deficit going on there that was like unnecessary, especially just for like where I'm at in my life, and especially with the amount of running that I was doing to prepare for the half marathon at that time. I think that also probably like factored into it as well. And I bring this up because, again, like as a kid growing up in the early 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s, and just being like inundated with like just constant like discussion about bodies and how bodies look, and women's bodies, like men's bodies were just, it was not breaking front page tabloid news in the way that women's bodies were just constantly critiqued. Oh my goodness, it's like you walk outside as a celebrity, as a female celebrity, and maybe you have just eaten a substantial meal, and now there's pregnancy rumors about you because of that. Constantly seeing women have their private images leaked and then get ridiculed for it. instead of the men who decided to leak those photos and breach that trust. Seeing every single like magazine be like, health magazines be like, lose 10 pounds fast, burn fat instantly. Here's so-and-so's like new diet. Like, and I think like even if I went to Publix today, I think I could probably still find like tabloids that are like that, where it's just one after the other, like, or like, oh my God, there's this one Geico commercial, where it's like, it's like, can Geico save you 15% on car insurance? And then it follows up and it's like, can Abe Lincoln not be honest or something like that? And then his wife asks him like, oh, Abe, like, does my butt look big in this dress? And Abe Lincoln like doesn't respond. Like, he's just silent because he can't tell a lie because he's honest Abe. Yeah, constantly hearing like big butts be demonized. I think even oh my goodness, just Weight Watchers commercials, lean cuisine commercials, like everything, 100-calorie snacks and stuff like that. Just as a child, it would be, I mean, it would be naive of me to think that that stuff didn't affect me and doesn't continue to still affect me. I actually weighed myself every day during 75 Hard because they say that you have to like take a progress picture, but I was just like, I don't want to do that because I was afraid that it was going to make me start to think certain things about my body and like pick myself apart. In the ED world, it's called body checking is what it is. And so I didn't want to do that because I was nervous that I was going to, put myself into a bad headspace. But I was weighing myself every day because I was curious to see how my weight might change around my periods. I was honestly just curious. Like genuinely, I did not come into it with like any sort of like negative mindset. And when I tell you that there were some days where I would see that scale get up to 152 or 153 pounds, and I would have to like self-soothe. It wasn't intense or extreme, but these things still impact me. Like watching The Biggest Loser as a kid and seeing, again, just, it's not even like blatant misinformation, but it sets up a scenario where we're allowed to like judge people for like being fat. And I'm just like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like as an adult, I'm like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. But like as a kid, you're not thinking about, these like more complicated issues. You're just seeing that, oh, this is like a game show where you lose weight and you get healthy, where it's equating weight loss, like purely just weight loss with like being healthy, and shaming people for not losing enough weight without taking into the fact that like all of our bodies are different. We all have like different factors that might impact our ability to gain or lose weight, from external factors in terms of like, again, your actual like lifestyle. Do you lead like a healthy lifestyle? What things do you have access to in terms of food? What do you have access to in terms of physical activity, whether it's indoor, whether it's outdoor, blah, blah, blah. And then also internal factors. Are there any sort of genetic risks that we're looking at? Is there anything just about like your internal, like, biome that it just maybe looks different from what will be considered standard, and that might impact your ability to lose or gain weight, or even to lead what will be considered like a healthy or active lifestyle? It's all very different. But that show really, it was called The Biggest Loser. Like, like that show, all it did was say weight loss, good. And like, I remember like one time I like went into my parents' bathroom and I weighed myself and I'd lost 1 pound, and I was like so excited. I'm like 9 years old. And I was like so excited. I was like, oh my goodness, I lost 1 pound. Like I exclaimed, I ran downstairs and I told my parents, and I was like, I just lost 1 pound. Like, Okay, you're 9. Like, why are you even thinking about this at 9 years old? A healthy 9-year-old child. There was no reason for me to be thinking about my weight. Really, truly, there has never been a point in time in my entire life where my weight was a problem, except for when I was too skinny. And what's crazy is right now I'm 5'5" tall, and I fluctuate like around 150 pounds. That puts me in the overweight category for BMI. Mind you, if you look at me and my stature, bitch, I could afford to put on another 10 pounds and call it a day. When I would have been considered like a healthy, like appropriate, like BMI is when I was like 130-ish. And I do have like pictures from back when I was 130 as an adult. Because when I first moved to Florida, I was just so stressed out, like beyond belief. And I lost like a lot of weight when I moved here. And then again, like when I first started this podcast, like that August, I also was just going through a lot. And I also I lost like a bunch of weight then too. I look sickly at 130 pounds. It does not look good. It does not look correct or right in any means. And I didn't even realize it until I looked at like an older picture of myself, and then I looked at like how I look now, and I'm like, that was a problem. Like that, there was no reason for me to look like that. I actually look like a woman now. Like I feel like I actually have like, I look healthy. I look healthy now. I have a shape now. So I think that there are many internal messages that I am carrying from just my youth, and the way that society categorizes women and tells us like how we need to look again in order to be perceived as masculine or feminine, and then by extension to be perceived as attractive, because attractiveness for women at like a broader like social societal level, not just speaking like within the queer community, but broadly, women are considered unattractive when they are unfeminine. I think Iman Khalif is a good example of that. I don't think that the reaction that she received would have been if she was a little more feminine, or even if the girl that she was fighting was a little more masculine looking. Genuinely, I don't think that that's the kind of I don't think anybody would have questioned her gender like at all, at all. And it's really unfortunate that that's it. That you're ugly, therefore you're not a woman. You are unfeminine, therefore you are ugly, therefore you are not a woman. And I can talk a big game about like, again, like healing and taking care of myself and, just speaking positive affirmations into myself and all this stuff. But like, I can't extract myself from society, and I can't extract myself from a world where I'm just not going to receive those messages. Unfortunately, they are just simply still out here. Even just with like being in the Ozempic era, like I've had to like remind myself that like there is no reason for me to be on Ozempic. There's no reason for me to be on Wegovy or Roe or any of that stuff, even though I am just, again, being inundated with ads about it every single fucking day. It is very hard to look away. I honestly would argue that it's impossible to look away. And like, I'm someone where, again, I'm coming at it from the background of like having been through some disordered eating and like kind of like knowing what those thought patterns look like for myself. And in addition, like anorexia and bulimia, like as like actual diseases, are considered within like the realm of anxiety disorders. And so because I'm currently being treated for another anxiety disorder, there's a little bit of those are anxiety disorders. And because I'm being treated for another anxiety disorder, there is a little bit of like a benefit there where I don't ruminate on it like as much as I used to. I don't think about it as much as I used to. But the thoughts are still there. They linger for sure. Because at some point, like, again, I'm not just fighting against myself and my own habits. Like, I'm also, again, fighting against a world that low-key wants me to think that way and wants me to think that the smaller I am, the more feminine I am. The smaller I am and the more petite and non-threatening and meek and quiet and contempt, then the more of a woman I am. And again, by extension, the more attractive I am. And so, yeah, I think that I'm probably always going to be having this conversation with myself. I think there are probably going to be some days that are better than others. You know, right now it's just like not the best day. But there are good days ahead, so that's okay. So that's where I'm going to leave this episode. I actually don't know why I'm crying right now. This is kind of weird. Yeah, so subscribe, like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. I think you can leave comments on Spotify. There's YouTube too. I don't know if you can leave comments on Apple Podcasts. I know you can rate on Apple Podcasts, but I don't really go on there that much. But yeah, you can check me out on Instagram. You guys know where to find me at bottumsup.pod. That is bottumsup.pod. If you want to be on an episode, or if you want to shoot me a topic or something, or, you know, you guys know the spiel, you can send me an email or you can send me a DM. My email is bottumsup-pod@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for interacting and supporting as always. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.